Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duck Bricks. I'm Chris, and today we have a very special review of an exclusive LEGO set. This is set number 910009, the Modular LEGO Store, which is a special Bricklink AFOL-designer program set. So what exactly does this mean? Well, around last year, LEGO ran a program where rejected LEGO ideas, such as this one, which reached the required amount of votes to be considered to be made into official sets, simply did not make the pass and were never made until now. So basically, this was a crowdfunding program for LEGO fans to be able to vote with their wallets and decide what kinds of sets they want to see that were previously rejected by LEGO ideas be made for a very limited run. This program spawned a lot of fan favorites like the Castle in the Forest, which we can see in the center there, one of the most impressive AFOL designer sets, which came with pros and cons because the entire ordering process was a major hassle. Many sets like the Castle in the Forest sold out within minutes or hours, and ultimately these were simply not available in every region and pretty much were only available for sale for a single day. That being said, I do also want to talk a lot about the value of these sets. This one in particular costs $180. A lot of these sets were rather on the pricey side because of the amount of detail and pieces that went into them. So now during this video, of course, at the end, we'll be talking about value. Is this set worth the price? Although if you wanted to buy it secondhand now, be prepared to shell out over $450. So I guess there's pros and cons with picking it up at the standard retail price. With that though, let's jump right into the review of the Modular LEGO Store. Okay, so this is set number 910009, the Modular LEGO Store. When it came out for just about a day, it retailed for $180 as well as 150 euros, and comes with 2,149 pieces, putting it at a pretty nice price per heart ratio of 8.4 cents. This is obviously, by the name, meant to fit in with the rest of the modular building lineup. It has the exact same areas for the Technic pins to plug into, and unlike most modular buildings, this does not have multiple floors. Instead, pretty much what you see is what you get. This is a massive LEGO store with a very, very high roof. Could be something that you could see in a city. I personally have not really seen a LEGO store like this exactly in this layout, but the designer was being creative and trying to come up with more of like a high-end LEGO store. This almost feels like an Apple store in the way that it's built, and I don't necessarily dislike that. However, I do feel that a lot of the parts of the interior definitely could have been a little bit more interesting, especially for a modular building, and we'll get into all of that right now. So first of all, I just want to kind of take a look at the outside of the building itself and just talk a little bit about the architecture. This is very square, very rectangular, which isn't a bad thing, but it is a very simple build overall. It was a very simple and repetitive build. Of course, the interior has some stuff going on, but for the most part, a lot of what you're going to be doing is stacking up these bricks. You've got the corner bricks with the masonry stuff like so you stack them all up. You have windows here. I like the archway and the way this is done to kind of have a bit of an archway here. And aside from the roof, which is probably the most interesting piece, this is just a big old rectangle, which again, is the design that they were trying to go with. That was not a mistake that it was this simple. This is actually, they're trying to mimic a real world building and make it look realistic in an actual city. And for that I do appreciate it, because unlike a lot of the other official LEGO modular buildings, which might I add are a lot more expensive than this, nowadays a regular modular building like the Jazz Club will go for $230, so this is a good like $50 cheaper than a normal modular. They have all sorts of crazy architecture going on, there's a lot of attention paid to detail and color blocking and all that. And to an extent, this may seem counterintuitive, but it's kind of refreshing to see just a simple rectangular building, because we don't really get a lot of these nowadays. This feels like something you would see in a city, whereas something like, I don't know, the Jazz Club or the bookstore or the boutique hotel or something like that, those feel more like maybe you would see those in like a special type of neighborhood or a specific part of a city, but not something just in a city block. And this is a great way to supplement a city block. Now, there is one kind of hidden away thing on the back here. Now, you can see that there is a bit of a building on the back. The way this works is that this opens up, and it's a bit of a storage and shipping location, which I think is really cool how they included this. This absolutely did not need to be a part of the building, but the designer went the extra effort to actually add this pretty realistic part of an actual building into the back of the store. A lot of LEGO stores obviously have back storage space for future sets and whatnot, and this is pretty perfect. It's really cool how they were able to integrate this into the building itself. You've got what I guess is some sort of button or a fire hydrant extinguisher type thing, little computer panel to maybe just like look up some stuff and see what sets are in stock. You have all sorts of boxes on the back here, where you can see it just continues all the way down there. And it's a different color from the rest of the building as well. Having it be in bright yellow is interesting because, again, this isn't going to be the front-facing thing. Maybe they didn't really care that much. And there's even a loading dock, so trucks can maybe roll up. If you can imagine, there's an alleyway here. You can open this up and load and unload boxes on the loading dock. So I do like that. Super simple design. I mean, all of this is just very simple building techniques, just stacking bricks, but I like it for what it is. Moving onwards to the front, there's not really any place for minifigures to stand. Everything is just a tile, so there's places to put figures, but there are no studs. There are only a couple studs to secure the large-scale Lego bricks to the front of the store, which I think look nice. It makes sense that we have that. And then basically you just have this, with the one big sticker for the set being the massive LEGO Store signed sticker, which is a great one to get. I think that's the largest, like, official set LEGO sticker, just like of the LEGO logo, as a sticker that we've ever gotten, so that is quite cool to see that. And let me just set aside, the figures are pretty generic because they were just going from existing figure catalogs for the Bricklink designer program, so we'll set aside a kid holding, I guess, like a piece of Lego, and I don't know what this is supposed to be. Like, maybe it's some sort of a Lego build, and the dad carrying a shopping bag. Would have been nice to get, like, a Lego logo on the shopping bag, but I understand if they were limited by budget, they just wanted to do the main one. And we'll take a look at the actual interior of the building. So the two glass doors open up, and I will say I love the front of the way this looks. Having an all-glass exterior looks really good. Again, doesn't even quite feel like a Lego store. Feels more like an Apple store or something, but I think it looks great. And then we can take a look at the inside of the model. And to do that, we can also remove the roof. Like all modular buildings, the roof comes off. You have a nice skylight on the roof as well. Maybe while we're talking about exterior, before we go inside, I'll talk a little bit about the roof here. It's built very interestingly because you've got all of these different Technic beams that kind of attach gears and types of architectural facade type designs to it. Feels again like something you would see in a city. They basically just kind of have you stick the beams through and they're just sticking out the back. It felt not like something you would see for an actual Lego set. I don't think Lego would ever do that for an actual set and just have the beams kind of randomly sticking out the back, but it achieves it quite well. I mean, it gets the job done in terms of having a design on the front, and I'm not against it. Again, it's really simple building techniques. There's nothing crazy going on here. It is the most simple type of building you can do, but it's a good filler building for a city. And I don't even say that in a bad way. It's a good filler building, where if you're making a city block, this just looks realistic. I like how the lights at the top of the store are shaped kind of like a Lego brick, where you have the 4 understuds there. This is actually something that official Lego stores do, where if you look up at the lights, they are shaped like Lego bricks. So I like how they included that on this store. And then finally we can get over to the interior. Now I do want to say one thing, is that the interior of the store is honestly not that interesting. Like, don't get me wrong, it looks like a standard Lego store, but if you look at Lego stores today, and I don't blame the designer for this because this model was designed years before Lego actually changed the way that they redesigned the insides of their stores, but a Lego store today, if you look at their flagship ones in London and in New York, they are phenomenal. I mean, you've got like a crazy tree in the center of it, you've got staircases leading up, a little miniature Lego city that you walk through, there's massive Lego builds that kids can play in, and overall the interior of Lego stores are actually really interesting. Like, they're really fun places to explore, especially the flagship stores, where this is big enough where they could have built a flagship store type thing. But instead, the designer chose to go for more of a traditional Lego store, where maybe something you would see inside a shopping mall. It won't be quite this tall, because obviously this is a much bigger building than normal, but maybe the floor would be like, the ceiling would be here, and you would go into a standard Lego shopping mall, and this is what you would see. So on one end here, you have a few different displays. So you have minifigures and little models inside displays. These, unfortunately, don't seem to correspond to any particular Lego sets. I mean, I'm sure they've done lime green cars before. You could say that's the Technic Lambo, but again, none of these builds actually correspond to actual Lego sets. They're more like generic, like car, robot, train, and so on. But, you know, there's enough Lego sets that they could correspond to something. One thing I do like here is that you actually have the pieces being built for a car here, so you have like one of the wheels on the side, so it's encouraging you to put it on. Smaller boxes here, and I've just basically stood the minifigure up on one of the studs here. You can't actually, again, attach them to the ground because it's all tiles, but I just stuck them on one of the studs. You have generic LEGO boxes on the back. One thing that most official LEGO store sets do is that they actually have stickers to represent LEGO sets. This didn't really have that luxury because it was a Bricklink AFOL-designed program set, so we don't really have any of those, but you just have plain boxes like so. You have some bags hanging from the wall here in different colors, which I thought was interesting because LEGO bags are always just yellow. You don't really see multicolored bags, but I guess they were trying to do something a little bit different here. And then you have the massive pick-a-brick wall, and this is the big part of the set here. Kind of tedious to make because you basically just put like 2 to 3 of the same stud in each glass container, and then you just stick them in there and it's good to go. But you know, I think it was worth it because it looks good. I like how they included so many different colors. The instructions say to just put 2 studs in, but they had an extra stud for every color they included, so I said why not just put in 3 and make them feel a little bit more full. Lastly, on this side here, you have a jet, and maybe that's like a Quinjet type thing. You can imagine that's like a Marvel thing, but on the back here, super plain wall. It's just, oh, there's another sticker. That's right, there's another little sticker there for the LEGO logo. So that's nice to see. We've gotten that sticker before, though. But it's basically just a number of employees who are standing here packaging up your sets and bagging them and manning the registers. These are the only areas which did have studs to place the figures on, so I had to like clump 3 of them in the same corner because they basically only have studs to stick on there. Would have been nice to get like other studs randomly on the floor, but it is okay for what it is. And there is a door to the back room there, which is nice, and I think my favorite one is using the Han Solo hairpiece in dark brown. That was a nice inclusion to get that specialized little hairpiece in dark brown in a standard set. Otherwise, though, this is basically it. What you see is what you get here. It is surprisingly empty. There's not a lot going on. Actual smaller LEGO store sets have more things going on than this, which is not a bad thing. Again, like, I'm not necessarily complaining, but it does feel a little bit sparse and barren for the set that you build, especially because this was a big set. It took a long time to build, it was an expensive one for $180, and you step back and you're like, okay, we've got like a rectangle, and I'm not saying that's bad, it's good city filler, but I definitely wish that there was something just a little bit more interesting going on, if not with the exterior, because the exterior I actually kind of like how simple it is, it works in its favor. I wish that it was a little bit more interesting in terms of the interior. We have seen really crazily detailed, very nicely done LEGO stores today that you can go into in London and in New York, and even like in Legolands and LEGO House Store, that have all sorts of crazy interiors and play areas and build-a-minifig stations and little like mosaic maker stuff. Here it's just like, yeah, this is the interior of a LEGO store that you would see at a shopping mall, but the exterior doesn't make a lot of sense with that because the exterior is a lot fancier. If there was a LEGO store like this in real life, you bet it would be a flagship store and they'd have all sorts of crazy stuff going on inside. Maybe I'm being a little bit too meta with this. Again, it's not really fair to the builder because the builder built this years ago before LEGO was doing crazy stuff with their flagship stores, so they basically just made it as accurate as they could for a modular. I just feel like, compared to all of the other official modulars, there's a lot of empty space here. There's no different floors, there's no like separation in terms of floors, and that allowed them to do something more interesting with having these massive doors on the front, but it also means that the space inside is very empty. That's what I have to say. It's not my favorite modular building by any means, it's a good filler for a city street. I certainly will be including this in my eventual LEGO City, so do stay tuned to see more videos on my LEGO City that I'm setting up. Again, I think it's perfect for a LEGO City, but it really has that mock feel to it, where it's like someone who's a fan of making LEGO cities made this as maybe not like the most interesting or the flagship building, but they made this to just be a filler in the street. And sometimes you need that for cities. Not every building can be some sort of crazy angle, like architectural design that has things mounted on an angle on the corner and all sorts of different colors and floors. Sometimes you just have to get something that looks realistic. So for $180, again, what you see is just what you get. There are a few surprises here, aside from the back of the model here, which this was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. I did like seeing this, and I did not expect this, so this was nice. But again, $180, I think that's pretty fair. Like, for what you get for this build, $180 is good compared to the other modulars if you just need something to fill up your city, but it's not the most interesting thing. So I have mixed feelings on this. On the one hand, I like it. On the other hand, I feel like it could be a lot more interesting. But that's what I have to say about this store. Let me know in the comments if you think that the price is fair, if you've built this, what was your experience putting it together, and would you like to see more Bricklink AFOL-Designer Program reviews, because I have bought all of them, and I should be publishing reviews on all of them as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Modular LEGO Store. And of course, stay tuned for even more videos. That sums up this review. Alright, and with that, we have summed up our review of this modular LEGO store. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the set? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And were you able to pick up a copy for yourself during the day that it was available for sale in October 2021? This took nearly a year to get to me, but I'm so glad to have finally been able to add it to my collection, and I would love to hear your thoughts. So again, the comment section is all yours. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Thanks so much, and bye-bye for now.